Hey, badass business owners. Today I want to talk about profit, but through processes. Here on the show, we talk a lot about how sales minus cost of goods minus expenses equals your profits. And we talk a lot about pricing and how you need to make sure that you are priced correctly to be able to cover these cost of goods and these expenses. Well, there comes a point where you are priced correctly, and yet you still may not have the profitability that you want, in which case where you may find the money is actually going to be in your processes, because we waste a lot of money and time in our processes, because the two most valuable things that you have in your business is time and money. And you have to spend your resources the right way, being the money that you have in the business. And time is precious because there's only so much of it, and there's only so many jobs that you can do in it. And if you are spending too much time at a job, you could be costing yourself all kinds of money through wasted time. Let me explain some of this. Let's say you take a job and you bid that job out for 2 labor hours. Well, that job ends up taking you 2.5 hours. From a payroll standpoint and from what you thought, okay, it's a half hour, but here's a half hour that you are continually, if you have somebody that you're paying, then there's a half hour that you're going to have to pay that individual to be able to stay on that job site. If it's you, we don't think anything about it because we've talked about how many small business owners don't value their own time. But the reality is you should be thinking of you as an employee at that time. As a business owner, you're seeing yourself as an employee. And you should be saying, wow, that's a half hour of time that I have to pay that employee because they had to stay at the job site. Now, that doesn't mean you're doing that, that you're paying yourself. But the reality is, if somebody was at that job site for the extra half hour, you would be on the hook to pay them that money. And it's important that you always keep that in mind, because that half hour is going to add up as you go through the course of the day. Because let's just say the rest of the day goes perfect. You still have that half hour. If you pay them $20 an hour, that's $10 of wasted money because you didn't plan out that day the correct way. Now, it could be bad bidding, could have misjudged how much you needed. It could have been that we're unprepared for the job, was late because of another job, whatever the case may be. You can come up with every reason, but just know that that's $10 of payroll that went out the door. That would have been profit. Now, another thing that people tend to do is they tend to have poor scheduling. And what they do is, instead of saying, hey, I've got all this business, I'm going to do this section of town Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'm going to do this area on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's actually probably one of the most common things that business owners move to as they grow the business, because they realize it doesn't do them any good to bounce around all over town and all over different cities that they service. I was talking to a business owner the other day, and they were telling me about their crew because I was asking them when their crew was going to be in a certain area. And they're like, well, they're starting off here on the west side, and then they're going to go over to the east side, and then they're going to go down further south to take care of another business. And I'm thinking to myself going, wow, what a waste of time and energy that they have set up for this, because you've got people in cars. When people are driving around for long periods of time and going back and forth, you're just costing yourself gas money. You're wear and tear on the vehicle. You're costing yourself the fact that they could have worked in other jobs. If that day, for example, they had 3 jobs that they could do, but they were very spread out and they're busier than crap, let me tell you. If they would have just said, okay, we're going to focus our entire day on this particular section, they probably could have gotten to that area and had 4 or 5 jobs versus ending up with the 3 jobs that they ended up with, as opposed to having it roll from one city to the next city to the next city or some other combination. Inefficiencies cost business owners all kinds of money. And that's whether it's driving all over the place, not having the right schedule, lacking the organization, not bidding for the right amount of time that it takes something. For example, you've got to somehow figure out that if you say this job should take an hour, but it keeps taking an hour and 15 minutes, then you need to figure out one of 2 things. Either A, what's keeping me from being able to get this done in an hour so I can fix that inefficiency, to fix that process that's broken, or the fact that maybe this is an hour and a half that you need to be booking versus trying to cram it into an hour when it never will take an hour. It will always take more than an hour. But sometimes we try to say, I can get this done in an hour. But if 9 times out of 10, you're not getting it done in an hour, you have to ask yourself why. Either it can't be done, or you're trying to squeeze a foot into a shoe that's too small, or it's a matter of there's something broken. And sometimes those broken things are, well, we never can get there on time. We have to constantly run over to Home Depot or over to our supplier for things. We're never really prepared. Those are things that you can fix and get it back to under that hour that you originally planned to get it done. Most of the time when I'm talking to business owners and their job runs over or runs long, most of the time it was something that they could have caught. Sometimes it's unaccounted for. They couldn't expect it to happen. But a lot of times they did not order enough of the product, or they had to go get something, or one of the employees broke something, or whatever the case may be. Those are the kinds of things that are process related. What happens though is we fix them, we run and gun, and we keep going. And you have to pause wearing your business owner hat sometimes and just say, okay, what do I need to fix? I'll bet you if I sat you down for a half hour and just told you to write down every inefficiency, every broken process in your business, you would come up with a laundry list. And I don't want you to go tackle a laundry list. I want you to do the exercise, find your list, and then ask yourself, what's the one thing on that list that you can tackle today that's going to have the biggest impact on your business, that's going to help your profitability by fixing it? And a lot of times by fixing one big thing, you actually fix a lot of the little things that are on your list. You can even bucket the items that you find and then say, wow, this is what they have in common. And if I just fix this one thing, it'll solve all these little problems that I have. You should always be having some process in your business that you're tweaking and trying to get better at. Don't try to tackle them all, but just pick one at a time and work on it. Even if you just pick one a quarter, that's going to be 4 processes that you're constantly fixing in your business. A few weeks back, I talked about the book, The 12-Week Year. I'll have a link to it in the show notes, but it's about taking your business and coming up with a set of goals for that 12 weeks that you can really push and go after. And it's like cramming in a year. Well, those things are fantastic for processes because you might pick, maybe 3 goals that you're going to do in that 12 weeks. One of them is sales related, one of them is profit related, and one of them might be process related. And you're going to make sure that you are driving the sales and going after that goal. And then you're figuring out, what else can you do from a profit standpoint and how you can create more profit. But a lot of times that's going to tie back to the process that we're talking about of how you can fine tune and fix that process. The main reason that I brought this up in this particular episode is I think that I've been talking so much about pricing that we forgot to find that balance, that it's not just your pricing that's costing you profit. Your pricing is one piece of the equation. You have to be priced correctly. The second piece is ensuring that your processes are correct. If you're constantly tweaking your processes and your pricing, you're going to find that you are going to continue to find ways to grow your sales, but to continue growing your profits. It is a profit game, not a sales game. And I know a lot of people say, just sell, and the profit will show. You will have profit when you sell. Don't get me wrong, but you're never going to maximize your profits if all you do is focus on the sales category. You've got to find a way to fine tune that so that you put as much as possible to the bottom line. And you do that by ensuring your cost of goods and your expenses are as clean as possible, by getting the best prices on stuff, by buying the right way, by not letting merchandise sit on the shelf, just wasted money just sitting there until you have a chance to use it. Once again, that's a process, is how you handle your inventory. So, I'm not using the word inventory until just now, but guess what? That is a process of how you do that and how you clean it up and how you blow through it. Everything ties back into a process of some type of form. You may not think of it as a process, you just do it. Well, guess what? You're doing a process. When you brush your teeth in the morning, it's a process. You grab your toothbrush, you put your toothpaste on it, and then you put your toothbrush in your mouth. And some people will do all the right side, and then they'll do all the left side. Some people go both sides all over the place. Some do just lowers and then uppers. Whatever the case may be, everybody has a process with how they brush their teeth. even though they're not thinking about it while they're brushing their teeth. And when you're running your business, you have processes that you have created in your business that you need to sometimes go back and say, are they the most efficient? Here's one that just popped into my head. When COVID first started, and all of a sudden we had all of these things about how to properly wash your hands. We've all washed our hands a million times. Who would have thought that there's actually a process of washing your hands that's the right way to be able to get between your fingers and be able to get into all the cracks and crevices, and that you needed to do it for so long and so many seconds and everything else? Where we just go about our day and just wash our hands. And whether you did it that way or you didn't do it that way, there were times when you probably laughed and thought to yourself going, oh my gosh, or you tried it at least once going, oh my gosh, this seems like it takes forever to do it this way, or whatever the case may be. I just remember having some conversations with some people, so it just made me think about that. But at the end of the day, here's what's important. I want you to be as profitable as possible. In order for you to be as profitable as possible, you've got to, sales minus cost of goods minus expenses equals profits. One part of that arm is to make sure you are priced correctly. And the second part of that is to make sure that you're constantly into your processes and ensuring that they are as clean as possible. Have that brainstorming session. Find the one or two that you're going to do. Do one at a time. Always be working on one. I promise you it's going to lead to more profits for you. Now, before I go, if you want to learn even more about your business numbers, then don't forget to check out the Know Your Business course below in the show notes. It's so affordable. It's ridiculous, but it's just going to help you understand your business numbers better. We dive in and we really walk through how to read a P&L, to understand markup versus margin, how to price correctly, all that good stuff for a great low price. With that, I am out of here and I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye for now.